Hi, my name's Terry Johnson. I'm glad you could join me today. I just can't believe that we're at more than halfway through the summer and it's time to be thinking about getting started with school again. So on our Facebook page, I asked a simple question. What is your biggest challenge as you're going into this next school year? And I got a lot of responses. It was close to 100 responses from people. And the similar themes kept coming up, and here's some of them. I heard that you struggle with staying motivated and being consistent in your teaching, and that some of your kids struggle with being focused and staying on task. And others said that they struggle with getting organized and staying organized through the school year. And others mentioned that balancing schoolwork and housework can really be a challenge. Other topics and issues that just kept coming up were how difficult it is to deal with interruptions in life circumstances that are out of your control, and being patient and not becoming angry with your children. Setting appropriate expectations too for your children is a similar theme that a lot of us struggle with. We don't want to set them too high, but we also don't want to set them too low. Lots of us are teaching more than one grade, and so teaching multiple grades and having good time management skills. Some parents have kids with special needs, and others just haven't figured out what their child's learning style is yet. So yes, the typical homeschool mom has lots of challenges, and so that's really normal. But what's fun is we decided to put together a 3-part video series talking about some of these challenges and how to overcome them. And as homeschool moms, all we need to do is roll up our sleeves and get to work. So this is going to be fun. The great thing is that we've been equipped with everything that we need to accomplish this task and this choice that we've set before ourselves. So today we're going to be talking about how to get motivated, stay motivated, and teach consistently throughout the school year. Sometimes it's easier when we first get started, but then it gets more difficult in the middle and towards the spring. So we're going to talk about that today, so let's get going.
Staying motivated and being consistent is a common challenge for homeschooling parents. It's not because we lack willpower or focus or singleness of purpose. It's because there are so many wonderful opportunities each day, and there's lots of interruptions to our school day too that can be hard to stay focused and on task. That's why today's video lesson is about how to stay motivated with school throughout the school year. To get started, let's talk about how to set yourself up for success in August before the school year even begins. Let's talk about your secret weapon that will put your school days into autopilot mode when you really need it. Your secret weapon is a schedule. Here's what makes a schedule powerful. It creates habit. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Now, don't misunderstand me here. I'm not talking about scheduling out every minute of your day. Heaven forbid. I'm such a free spirit that I wouldn't be able to stand that. What I'm talking about is setting up a schedule or an order of events that will determine the direction of your school day. There are 4 steps included in scheduling. Determine what subjects you will teach to each child. Determine what resources or curricula you'll need for those subjects. Determine how many days per week each subject needs to be taught. And finally, draw up a schedule so that each subject is covered satisfactorily. So points number 1 and number 2 are beyond the scope of this video today. I've actually written whole lessons on these topics in Homeschooling ABCs, and you can find them there. But we can talk about number 3 and number 4 rather quickly today. So when you have a resource selected to teach a given subject to 1 or more children, open the book and find out how many lessons or chapters are included in the book. Take that number and divide it by 36, which is the typical number of weeks in a school year. The number that you get is the number of days that you'll need to teach that subject each week. If it's 5, then you need to include that subject on your schedule for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. If it's 4, then perhaps you'll want to mark it for Monday through Thursday with Friday off. Or if it's 2 or 3, then just pick 2 or 3 days of the week, such as Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. Once you have the number of weekdays that a specific subject must be taught in order to finish the book, which isn't necessary, by the way, but it's a good goal to shoot for, then use all that information to piece together a schedule that will work for you. Some of the books you want to cover are not curriculum per se. If you're like me, then you have a whole set of living books that you want to read to your kids over the course of the school year. Here's how to handle this. I type up the list of historical fiction or biographies that I want to read and in the order that I want to read them. Then I just read some every day and move on to the next book when I finish one. We don't have to read every book on the list, but we sure can get a huge stack of books read when we tackle it this way. Now, there's one more thing for you to do with your master schedule. From it, create separate schedules for each of your children and tape them to their school boxes or 3-hole punch and place them in their school binders. These don't have to have times on them, just an order of subjects will do. And these separate schedules will only have what they need to do because they don't need to know or care what their brothers and sisters are doing. Now, with their own schedules, your kids know what's expected of them from school each day. They may even be able to get started without you and just do the next thing on their list until they accomplish what you've set out for them to do that day. This is homeschooling on autopilot, and it really is a beautiful thing. Now, guess what? You don't need to create lesson plans each week either. You have already decided what you will cover at the beginning of the year when you have the greatest amount of motivation. Sure, you may need to look ahead from time to time, say monthly, and see what books you should put on hold at the library or what maps you need to print out and have everything ready in your teacher notebook. But you really don't have to write up weekly lesson plans unless you love to. And if you don't, you're good to go with this annual preparation. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The other reason why we have such a hard time being consistent and staying motivated, focused, and on track with our school lessons. It's the interruptions, the opportunities and life circumstances that are out of our control. These things are all guaranteed to sabotage your well-planned day every now and then. So, how can we deal with them? Have you had people say anything like this to you before? Well, since you homeschool, you can do this activity anytime during the day because you have a flexible schedule. I've heard variations on that theme many times over the course of the 16 years that we've been homeschooling. And part of this statement is true, but part of it's not. Yeah, we do homeschool, but no, our schedule is not really all that flexible. And there's a reason why. If I don't respect the schedule that I worked so hard to put together, no one else will. In fact, as soon as I start to disregard it on a regular basis, it's nearly impossible to get back to it. Perhaps you've heard it said that your schedule is your servant, not your master. I say that all the time, actually, and it's absolutely true. But it can only be your servant if you use it. Yes, you can veer from it, adapt it, change it, rip it up, redo it, etc. But it can't serve you if you ignore it and toss it aside. And there's a reason that you took the time to put together your schedule, whether it's currently working for you or not. And that's because your school time is important. It's a priority in your day. Teaching your children is now one of the main priorities that you have in this season of your life. So, with that said, do you have your school time scheduled at the prime time of your day, when you and your children are the freshest to work on learning new concepts and working through assignments? For most of us, the prime time of our day is during the morning hours, or perhaps into the early afternoons. For what it's worth, we're almost always done with our school before noon. But for others, you might prefer to teach school during the afternoon, maybe while your younger children are napping. The actual time that you've chosen is not so critical as long as it's the best time of your day that is set aside for school time. Something to note here is that unless something important and urgent comes up, and I did use both words, urgent and important. Sometimes the urgent matter isn't all that important and vice versa. But unless it's both urgent and important, guard the time that you've set aside for school and stay true to the scheduled time slot. All right, now let's talk about 5 ways that you can guard your school time for you and your children. Number 1, don't answer the phone while you're teaching school. Unless you're expecting a phone call from one of your children or your spouse, just let it go to voicemail. Voicemail is another one of your servants, and let it do its job. I have learned the hard way that if I answer the phone in the middle of a spelling lesson, I'll have a hard time getting my kids focused and back on track. Here's how it often plays out. Here's a real life scenario. The phone rings. I begin to wonder who might be calling me. So my curiosity leads me to look over at my phone. It's my sister. We haven't talked in ages, so I answer it. And the kids realize that it's Aunt Tanya, and they start to goof off at the table, knowing that it might be a while before I return to say the next word on the spelling list. It starts to get loud in the dining room where we do school, so I wander down the hall to my room so I can hear what she's saying. Well, the kids get up and find something else to do in my absence, and 45 minutes later, my sister and I finally end the conversation. And I come out of my room and find that no one else is around. I look outside, and there are my sweet, cute little children playing in the rain and getting muddy. So now I go and I get bunches of towels so that they can dry off. And 2 of them need to change their clothes completely. Another 15 minutes later, and we're finally getting back to our 10-minute spelling lesson that's dragged out now to be an hour and 10 minutes. So anyway, you get the idea. It's not that my conversation with my sister is not important. It's very important. However, it's not urgent. I can talk on the phone with my sister anytime throughout the day. So doing so during the spelling lesson is actually not the best use of my time at that moment. It'd be a lot smarter for me that if I just wait, let her leave a phone message and return the call later in the afternoon when the kids are finished with their schoolwork and their music practice and they're free to play outside in the rain and get muddy. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, number 2 is like it. Don't check email, Facebook, Pinterest, etc. during school time unless you're having a study break. Then it's fine. But these are some of the socially acceptable addictions of our day. So is Candy Crush. These are the things that have a way of drawing us in for longer than we plan and sabotaging what we were trying to do. Remind yourself that Facebook can wait. It will still be there when you're finished with school. Close your laptop, put your phone in your pocket or in the other room. Don't be a slave to the alerts your phone is sending you. Trust me, it's rarely urgent, and often it's not even important. All right, here are 3 more ways to guard your school time. Schedule your appointments and run your errands during non-school hours. Schedule activities around your school time. If one of your children is taking gymnastics and another one is taking piano lessons, schedule these activities during times when you're not teaching school. Knowing that your family homeschools, your piano teacher might suggest a 10 a.m. lesson time. But if that doesn't work for your family, just politely say no. You might reply something like this: "No, I'm sorry, but that time slot doesn't work for us. Do you have any lessons available during the afternoon?" You don't have to feel obligated to be the flexible homeschool family that fits into someone else's schedule anytime and any place. Your schedule is important too. And you're the one that needs to protect your school time. Most people that teach extracurricular activities will understand this. So another question is, what if a special class has been put together just for homeschooling families? Maybe the gym where your child's taking gymnastics just opened up an early time slot for homeschooling families. Well, if this is going to cause you to lose a day of school or you'll have to do gymnastics to make it happen, no pun intended, then it might not be worth it. On the other hand, if this special class fits into your day in a way that you can work around it well, then you might want to consider it to be a good fit. Of course, this is a subjective decision, so you have to decide which activities to be involved in and with. From my personal experience, it's best to keep Monday through Thursday very routine and predictable. And on those days, I schedule all outside activities for times when we're not doing schoolwork, which means the afternoon for us. It seems okay to shake up the schedule just a little bit more on Friday when we're feeling a little more relaxed anyway. So we would consider incorporating a special extra activity on a Friday morning perhaps, but maybe not on Monday through Thursday. And that's just me. All right, and number 5, help your friends and family understand your schedule and your priorities. Many times our friends and family think that we aren't really doing much during the day when we're home all day homeschooling our kids, but there isn't really anything malicious in their thinking. It's just a misunderstanding. How many times have I had friends or family members ask if they can drop their kids off at my house because they've scheduled an appointment or have a meeting to attend in the morning? A lot of times, actually. I tell them that if they want my help, they need to work around our schedule too. So, in other words, I'm free most afternoons, but not in the morning. And I know that that last sentence might seem that I'm being rather selfish or unsympathetic, but the key is just that you need to keep your family and friends informed of your daily routine and schedule, and let them know that when you're available and when you're not, so no one's frustrated or feels taken advantage of. Communication is really important in these situations. And protecting your family time and priorities is important too. And so you just need to keep the lines of communication open, and then expectations can stay in check. All right, so when should we say yes? All right, we've talked about ignoring the phone and the computer, running errands and scheduling appointments for non-school hours, and watching other people's children at times that are convenient for us. So just when should we say yes? What should we say yes to? And actually many, many things. I decided early on that I would rather be known as the yes mom rather than the no mom. So here's some examples of things that I'll say yes to. Field trips. If someone in our homeschool group organizes a field trip that sounds interesting for my family, then by all means we'll set aside the school books for the day and go. My kids are still learning, and field trips make a great change of pace. Actually, I've written a whole lesson on great field trip ideas in lesson O of Homeschooling ABCs. All right, performances, musical, play, or ballet performances. If you know or hear that there's a production that's being performed in your area and you know that it's child appropriate, by all means, take the day off school if necessary and go see it. This is a great educational activity for your kids. Again, I talk quite a bit more on the topic of incorporating music and art into your homeschool in lesson Q of Homeschooling ABCs, but don't run out and buy Homeschooling ABCs yet. To celebrate our new WordPress website, we're putting together a fabulous offer that includes additional bonuses over and above the $250 worth of bonuses that it already contains. And it's also going to have a crazy discount plus 3 webinars with live Q&A time. So that's going to be opening up soon, so stay posted for that. All right, more things to say yes to. Museums or science, history or science museums and exhibits. If you have a science museum or a living history museum in your area, then you might want to consider visiting during the school day when crowds are lighter and there's more opportunity to see and touch and do the activities that are available. Vacation. Yes, take your vacation during the school year when all the other school children are in school. Fall, winter, and spring are great times to take a road trip and see other parts of the country. They're fabulous times for visiting amusement parks and resorts, and then visiting with extended family. If your brother and sister-in-law tell you that they're coming through town on their way to a conference, then by all means, take some time off school and spend that time with them. Okay, so let's recap today's video lesson on staying motivated and on track. First, you want to create a schedule and think through your school year at the beginning of the year when you're the freshest and the most motivated to do it. If you just start winging it with no real plan, you will certainly get derailed when life throws you a curveball, and it certainly will because, well, that's life. Choose the best part of your day to work on schoolwork with your children. This is one of your main priorities as a homeschool mom. So set aside time and protect that time. Learn to say no to interruptions and opportunities that don't fit into your overall plan or fit with your family's priorities. It's okay to say no, but do say yes when the opportunity is a good fit, such as an educational field trip, a music performance, or a chance to spend time with out-of-town family and friends. Here's the key takeaway. You are the master of your schedule and the teacher of your children. Understand this important role and take it seriously. But then, don't forget to have fun too. Teaching our children at home is an incredible privilege. Your life and your children are a gift. Enjoy the journey.
Thanks for watching and listening today. I hope that today's topic of staying motivated and being consistent in teaching was helpful for you. Tomorrow we're going to kind of tackle a beast of a topic, and that is balancing schoolwork with housework. We want to be able to teach with gusto and yet still maintain a somewhat orderly and clean home. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. In the meantime, if you would take a moment to like this video and comment below. Let us know if you found today's topic helpful, and also post on there any questions or helpful tips you have for tomorrow's video lesson on balancing schoolwork with housework. And also, of course, if you would share the video with your friends, we'd sure appreciate that too. All right, have a great day.